All right.
Hello, Tawan.
Hi.
So I have Tawan here and myself, Kristen Wiggins. We're going to talk a little bit today about the role of the coach in the context of this year's programming for the SBA Thrive and what to expect as a cohort coach in terms of your the ask of the coach and your role and your requirements and just the level of commitment that you would be bringing as a coach this year. So Tawan, can you share a little bit more about this slide that we have up right now, the SBA Thrive program prioritization? What does this mean, and what does this mean for participants in the program, and what does this mean for the coach?
Oh, that's a great question. So the previous model relied heavily on the instructors to teach all 13 modules, right? There were 13 modules. And within those modules, the instructors were the sole person responsible for delivering the content. And then they would work with PMs to bring in guest speakers. So that was great in the older model. The new model relies more on the platform and less on the previous term of instructors to deliver. So there was a completely different model. And I think the way we did it this time is based on the research we took from previous alumni and also just some of the market research we did. We found out that people wanted more content and in-depth knowledge on a particular subject. So I would say that in the slide that I'm showing you here, there are several ways to look at it. So the Core Connect online platform is 50% of the program. And within that program, there's testing, there's training, there is exercises, it's interactive play with the content. So it's not just you looking at a computer screen, but you're doing interactive exercises throughout. Each module is 8 hours and is taught and led by someone who's a subject matter expert on that topic. 20% of the module includes the knowledge and the training and instruction and the live Q&A from the subject matter experts. So there's two parts, two ways we use the SMEs. The first way is we use them in their content and their knowledge in the platform. So they work with our team of instructional designers to create the content, the modules, what topics we want to speak on. In addition to that, we have the SMEs, they do 2 sessions after the modules. So each module has a live 2. And when I say live, I mean virtual live, not pre-recorded sessions with the SMEs who ask questions from all of the participants about their particular business. And then the 20%, the third aspect of the program is the CEO peer-to-peer. Like that's when the CEOs get together and they have a mastermind and discussion groups. Those discussion groups are directly in line with what was taught in that particular module, right? So if the module is on accounting and finance, then the instructional design team will create a discussion guide following that module on accounting and finance. Mm-hmm. So it all tracks together. The final phase of the program is the coaching, and that's only 10%. It's not necessarily less valuable, but it serves a different intention. The core of the module is the learning, the knowledge, the technology that we're using to integrate that online learning experience with live exercises and content and demonstrations. So that is the bulk of the project. It's nothing like it was before when it relied on in-person instruction. All of that part takes place technically on the platform and with the experts in those 2 plenary sessions after each module. And then with the Q&A and the person-to-person, the CEO discussion groups that happen twice. So the way the program works is there's one 8-hour module, right, that businesses can take, the participants can take within 14 days. That's self-paced. After those 14 days, then they meet with the same SME who taught that particular module we'll conduct 2 virtual sessions where the participants can ask questions over a period of 2 days, right? Any question about that knowledge base, about that platform, about that, about that module, they can get answered by the subject matter expert. And then after that module is done, what we have is a discussion guide where the businesses can work through problems. We give them exercises, all created by the subject matter experts. And it's a full agenda and discussion guide that we will initiate to all of the participants for their particular cohort. So the coaches have not even gotten involved at this point. The only part that the coaches do is what the coaches are responsible for doing. The coaches are responsible for mentoring and guiding. So I'll show you what that looks like. So the role of the SME versus the role of the coach. The role of the SME is they instruct, they tell the how do you do something, they teach the foundations and the foundations and the principles of a thing. So if it's accounting principles of accounting foundations. If it's training, they train businesses on what to do when should you reallocate labor based on a project, when should you prepare your financials, at what point in time in your business are you ready for a line of credit. That is what the subject matter experts do. The coaches are merely to mentor, guide, and help businesses navigate areas that may be a little frustrating for them. They encourage and they help the businesses build confidence. They also provide a listening ear and problem solve with the businesses because sometimes you just need an alternate perspective from someone who's kind of had the experience. And then the final phase is navigating and sharing resources. You know, like based on our conversation, I really would like to steer you in the direction of this banking relationship, which can help you. They offer free consultations on how to prepare your financial plans. But the coaches are not the same, are not the SME. In the previous model, the instructors, they actually taught the sessions. They actually coordinated with the PMs for the guest speaking sessions. They did the coaching and managed them, the coaching as well. This is not that. The coaches aspect of this program is simply to connect with the businesses, be a listening ear, advocate and encourage them to keep pushing forward. It's motivational, but obviously adding some of their historical knowledge as well, where the SMEs and the platform is where the Thrive Connect is where the weight of the training and the education takes place.
Thanks, Tawan. And so we talked about questions like if the participant wants to like run something by their coach, just like a question about their business strategy or a challenge that they might be dealing with. So to what depth, to what extent is the coach expected to kind of work with a participant one-on-one or, you know, help guide them on their challenge? To what extent does that look like? And can that be covered within the group sessions?
Yes. So one of the things that always happens, that happens a lot with businesses, they get a lot of inspiration from each other, because as a business owner, you are either in a situation, you come out of the situation, or you are on your way to another situation, right? So oftentimes the value of the CEO discussion groups, there's 2 parts to that. There's the in-person, but in addition to that, within the platform, the technology that we're using, you can communicate on that topic within the platform. So if you are in, let's say Maine, or you're in New York, or you are in, let's say Chicago or Texas, and your cohort may be, you know, hundreds of miles away, you can communicate within that platform an issue that you're having, and the SME can respond, or they may opt to hold that into the plenary session when there's a robust discussion, because your question may benefit a lot of other people. Mm-hmm. The coaches are there to, if you want to run something by someone, if you are at a point where you would schedule a meeting and you say, hey, this is what I'm thinking, I just want to run it by someone, I want to workshop it with someone to kind of get your opinion and get your perspective on whether or not I should, as an HR professional, having an HR company. When is it time for me to sell my company? I want to kind of talk through some of my options and get some feedback from a business expert. So that's the value of the coach, but the coaches aren't there. I mean, it's great when the coach has a variety of experience, but what we don't want to do is put the weight on the coach to solve like the technical problems of the small business participants. Those kind of questions are handled by the SMEs, and we've already started working through the instructional design, the growth plan outline, and framing that for each of the modules. So I think the coaches kind of need to realign their thinking to understand that they are the lunch conversation. They are I just want to talk this with someone who understands business or who has worked through and with a lot of businesses to get your opinion. And then the 3 in-person coaching sessions that all of the coaches are required to do, we, IGS and instructional design team, will create a framework and an agenda for what should be done during those 3 in-person sessions, even with the final session being the capstone. Because we want to just provide the framework, but you know your cohort. That's also why we waited so long in the process to not have the coaches do their first meeting with participants, because we wanted them to have more time to go through at least a couple of modules first. So when they meet and do that in-person session with the coach, it's a more fruitful experience and not like just trying to cram a bunch of stuff. They've actually been through a couple sessions. They've done the SME trainings online. They've done the general sessions. They met with their CEO discussion groups. So when they meet in person, at one of the 3 sessions, is very intentional, and it's really to bring another level of strategy and strategic planning out of the participants as business owners. But we do not expect the coaches to be the subject matter experts. That part is handled through the platform and through the subject matter, the SMEs that we've hired and onboarded for that part of the program.
So to recap, it sounds like we're providing a lot of different support methods that participants will be able to tap into. So they'll be able to tap into the online platform and ask questions and collaborate with other participants nationwide, as well as the subject matter experts. They'll be able to hop onto the Q&A sessions with the subject matter experts to ask specific questions that they might have about the module content. And then they're also going to be able to work through their challenges within their CEO groups throughout the program, because those are the small groups, the mastermind groups that they'll be sticking with throughout the program for peer-to-peer mentoring. So there's a lot of different support that's built into the program that kind of lifts that weight off of the coach. Like as a coach, you don't have to feel like you are, the one and only person providing support to the participants, but they get that in many different ways throughout the experience.
Oh, no, they are not. The weight of the program does not live. See, that was the old model. And I think there needs to be a disconnection from the old model. The program lives and breathes based on the knowledge of the SMEs, the knowledge of the instructional design team we put together to bring in that level of expertise to build out this platform, the communication tools that we use every day. But what we've done is we've packaged it in a way that's an integrated model. Mm-hmm. And then with the CEO discussion groups, we facilitate that discussion guide with the business owners, in the one-on-one or the peer-led discussion groups. And then the coach's job is to really mentor, train, be a listening ear. And I'll give you an example. There are people who I know who either have been in business or are out of business. They may not be a marketing business owner, but they may have been a HR human resources coach. So when I'm running up against an issue, I don't call my friends. I don't call other business owners, because businesses are in various, shapes and sizes at different levels. Some of them are growth, some of them are mature, some of them are on the way out, exit businesses. So what I do is I call either someone who's in that industry, right? Or I will call a business colleague who has a business that's similar in size, or a mentor or a coach to say, hey, this is something I'm struggling with. this is the scenario. I need another perspective to weigh the problem with, to discuss the problem, to come up with some alternatives and some solutions, and just maybe hash it out, as people used to say, or workshop it, as people say now, to figure out like, what are some of the options and what's my way forward. And that's what the coaches do. They are to mentor, to guide, to encourage and build. Like, I want to quit my business. I don't want to do my business anymore. The coach is saying, well, okay, well, why is that? Like, oh, well, I don't want to do my business because I'm just really frustrated that I'm not getting the opportunities and the leads that I really, really want. And then the coach says, well, have you considered, joining a networking group? And you're like, no, I never thought about it. Why would I join a networking group? Well, because if you have an IT company, you could very well join a networking group that's going to give you access to opportunities, the subprime to sub or prime. So if they work through issues with you, but by no means do we expect the coaches to carry the program. They make themselves available a few hours during the week, and the heaviest lift they have is getting an assessment of what happens in those 3 in-person sessions that take place, and how to customize a unique experience for those businesses. And that is done we will frame it out like there should be an interactive get to know in-person session. We want to talk about, like businesses who've had successes in the past, 2 months, because that's about the average time that the in-person coaching sessions take place. And then we'll say, okay, after getting to know business successes, tell me a little bit about what some of your challenges were with the last 2 modules, why they worked well for you, why they didn't work well. What are some of the things that you learned about yourself as a business owner? Like, we'll provide the framework for that discussion, but then the coach with the PM will have a conversation about like, oh, this would be really good. I know someone who had a recent success story that would be great as a guest speaker. And then they would work out that like any guest speakers or anything specifically they want to address in that particular one of those 3 sessions. So, but the coaches are not here to carry the platform. The coaches support.
And then you brought up a good point. So we were talking about the modules and how the subject matter experts are the ones who are going to be answering the questions relevant to the module content that they're teaching.
Correct.
Coaches don't actually have to have a super in-depth knowledge of the modules, right? They do not have to complete all of the modules like the participants do. You don't have to watch watch all of the videos and all of the modules in order to be able to coach participants through.
No, because the SMEs do that. Mm-hmm. The SMEs do that part. That's why we are spending the bulk of the resources are going to the technology and the SMEs. What we want to do is make sure we support the coaches by giving the businesses and the participants to get someone to kind of help navigate them as a business owner and encourage them. So their intention and the purpose of the coach is completely different. They mentor, they encourage, they point participants to resources. They may call like, hey, you know what, you should talk to John that's at M&T Bank. He has a great first workshop for small businesses who are trying to secure a line of credit. They may make referrals for, business owners or they could even in their in-person coaching sessions, have someone to come in and review the financial statements, right? To support one of the modules, but they themselves are not expected to be knowledge or experts. And that's one of the things that came out of the session research from before. It was a little, it was lacking in some ways because you have one person teaching on everything, and that's just not realistic. Like a person who does accounting and finance is not going to do HR, is not going to do cybersecurity, is not going to do marketing, is not going to do CRM, is not going to do, manufacturing. So we separated that out in the new module and really given the business owners experts who are like literally the experts in what they've done. And it's been demonstrated by the success that they've had in their careers and also in their businesses. So the weight is not on the coaches in that way.
Got it. Okay, thanks, Tawan. So that makes a lot of sense. And I think that provides a really good outlook for the coaches in terms of how to facilitate their sessions and what to expect going into the program. And to kind of recap, the expectation of the coach is to hold those bi-weekly 1-hour group coaching sessions. And those calls are really just so that your cohort participants can come on, ask questions. You can provide laser coaching, like 5-minute answers about their specific business, but you're not expected to spend too much time with each individual business going super in depth about the module content.
No. Because if that were the case, then we wouldn't need the SMEs, right? Mm-hmm. The SMEs are the expert. They're simply there to guide and frame, direct, I don't want to say coddle or coerce, but make sure that you're going in the direction. Oftentimes I would start on one thing, and then if I were to meet with my business coach, they were like, why are you doing that? Right. That's not where your money comes from. So why are you trying to do small business marketing when your expertise and your money for the past 10 years of business, or 22 years in our case, has come from government contracting? You generated $22 million in government contracts. So why are you doing, wedding planning, for example? We don't do that, but that's like, they keep you aligned so you can focus on what's the importance and have you prioritize correctly to get to your growth plan. That's the role of a coach.
Right, exactly.
They're the friend who will tell you the truth.
Right, helping to put things in perspective, helping to point things out, you're going to be helping the participants prioritize. And really it's about that decision making that Tawan just alluded to, just helping them make the right decision to get to the next step in their business and to overcome any specific challenge. Because at the end of the day, it's really just about getting to that next step, one thing at a time. So really looking at what's the next immediate step directly in front of the participant, and how can you help them get to that next step on a bi-weekly basis.
And I'll just end with this too, Kristen. The one thing is, like, before you start with a coach, you're kind of everywhere, right? You're like, oh, you have all this, but by the time you finish with your coach, you should be like laser focused on what it is that you're supposed to do for your business. And the coaches just kind of throughout these 8 modules really just take you along and continue to support you by saying, why are you doing that? This is where you need to be. That's the goal and the role of the coach.
Cool. I think that's it right there. So thank you.
I hope so.
I think this is going to answer a lot of the questions that our coaches have, and this will fit well into our coaching facilitation guide. So yes. So thank you for that. And I think that's a wrap.
All right. Thank you for your hard work. I'm so excited for this program. It's going to be phenomenal. So, and then the other thing I will say also is these are great use cases for the coaches for their own, like outside of the SBA contract, opportunities for them to show, like, I've helped this many businesses and help them, what they call in technology use cases, to frame like how you support it, not just the feel good of helping, the United States small business owners. So I'm excited.
Exactly. I'm excited too. We're excited to work with you all and just to have an amazing 2022 cohort year.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye.